On the cusp of her 12th birthday, Angelika felt as invisible as the mist that clung to the cobblestone streets of her ancient city. Her heart, usually a beacon of hope and imagination, had grown as gray as the looming sky above. The bustle of the city swallowed her whole, the chatter of pedestrians and the cacophony of carriage wheels echoing in her ears like a symphony played just out of tune. She was a solitary figure in a world that rushed by, her voice unheard, her smile unseen. Her school days were a blur of forgotten homework and whispers that passed through her like ghosts. Her classmates, a kaleidoscope of colors and laughter, had no room for the quiet girl with a penchant for stray cats and forgotten stories. Even her parents, consumed by the clockwork of their own lives, barely glanced up from their paperwork to acknowledge her existence. It was as if she had become a mere echo in the grand hall of her own life. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a pall of twilight, Angelika's steps led her to a place she had never noticed before. A small, unassuming shop, nestled between a bakery that sang of warm bread and a tailor that whispered of fine silk, stood the shop of Mr. Tobias, the peculiar clockmaker. The door, slightly ajar, beckoned her with the sweet scent of metal filings and aged wood. The chime of the bell above the door was a gentle invitation to a world where time seemed to tick a little slower. Mr. Tobias looked up from his workbench, his eyes twinkling like stars in a midnight sky. He was a man of few words, but his smile spoke volumes. His shop was a treasure trove of ticking and chiming, with gears and springs scattered like the leaves of an autumn forest floor. A wall of clocks, each with a personality as distinct as the cobblestones outside, stared back at her, their pendulums swinging in silent conversation. There was something about the rhythmic ticking that soothed the ache of her loneliness, lulling her into a place where she felt almost seen. The old man studied her for a moment, his eyes searching her soul. Then, with a knowing nod, he reached behind a dusty curtain and pulled out a peculiar contraption. It was a miniature well, no larger than a teacup, made of gleaming brass and intricate clockwork. "A birthday gift," he murmured, placing it into her palm. "But it comes with a task, for wishes are not freely given, especially not in a world where time is so precious." Angelika looked up at him, her curiosity piqued. What could this strange little well do? And what task could possibly be important enough to grant her a wish? Mr. Tobias explained that the well was powered by the heart of time, a lost gear that once beat in the chest of the grandest clock in the city's abandoned library. "Find it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "and your wish will come true." He handed her a map, its edges tattered and ink faded, marked with a path through the city's labyrinthine streets. The only other clue was a riddle scribbled in the corner, which spoke of a forgotten key and a silent guardian. With a newfound sense of purpose, Angelika set out into the twilight, the map fluttering in her hand. The city, which had once felt so cold and indifferent, now held secrets waiting to be uncovered. She navigated the cobblestone maze, guided by the whispers of the clocks that adorned the buildings like jewels, their glowing faces watching her pass. Each step brought her closer to the heart of the city, to a place where the air was thick with dust and the whispers of forgotten knowledge. The abandoned library loomed before her, its grandeur lost to the ravages of time. The massive wooden doors groaned open, revealing a cavernous room with shelves that stretched into the darkness like the limbs of a giant tree. The air was heavy with the scent of leather-bound tomes and disuse. Angelika's heart raced as she stepped into the silence, her eyes searching the shadows for the silent guardian the riddle had mentioned. It was then she heard it, the distant tick-tock of a solitary clock, a heartbeat in the vast, quiet expanse. Guided by the rhythmic sound, she tiptoed through the maze of dusty aisles, her fingertips brushing against the spines of forgotten stories. Her breath hitched as she encountered a statue, shrouded in cobwebs, its marble eyes seemingly following her every move. The statue held the key, but it was not as still as it had first appeared. Its stone hand, clutching the key, began to twitch as she approached, the air around it vibrating with an unseen force. Summoning her courage, Angelika reached out and plucked the key from the statue's grip. The moment her skin met the cold metal, the statue's eyes snapped open, and she realized she had disturbed not a guardian but a protector of the heart of time. The statue spoke in a crackling voice that seemed to resonate through the very marrow of her bones. Your wish is true, but it requires a piece of your own heart. Angelika was taken aback, but the gentle urgency in the statue's tone made her understand that this was no mere riddle. The clockwork of the city had recognized her longing for connection and offered her a chance to find it, but not without a cost. The statue pointed her to the far corner of the library, where the grandfather clock stood tall and silent, its once majestic frame now marred by neglect. With trembling hands, she inserted the key into the lock and turned it with a soft click. The clock's door swung open, revealing the intricate workings within. There, nestled in a bed of dust and decay, lay the heart of time. It was a delicate gear, pulsing with a faint light that matched the rhythm of her own heart. With a sigh that seemed to shake the very foundations of the library, the clock came to life. Its chime filled the air, resonating through the dusty rafters and shaking the cobwebs loose. The light grew stronger, and with it, a sense of belonging suffused Angelika. She knew then that she had found what she had been searching for, not just a gear, but a piece of herself that had been lost in the cacophony of the city. Carefully, she placed the heart of time into her pocket and stepped out into the night, ready to face whatever the world had in store for her with newfound strength and a heart open to the magic of connection. The journey back to Mr. Tobias's shop was a blur of faces and whispers. The street lamps flickered in greeting, and the cats that slunk through the alleyways paused to watch her pass, their eyes gleaming with curiosity. The air was alive with the whispers of the clocks, all ticking in harmony now that the heart of time had been found. The city had become a living, breathing entity, and she was a part of it. When she arrived, Mr. Tobias was waiting for her, his eyes alight with anticipation. He took the heart of time from her and wound it into the wishing well with a gentle touch. "Now," he said, "make your wish." Angelika took a deep breath and whispered into the well, her voice clear and true. "I wish to truly connect with someone, to be seen for who I am." The well's mechanism whirred to life, the gears turning with a symphony of clicks and clacks. A glowing light grew within, and Angelika felt a warmth spread through her chest, as if the heart of time had found its rightful place within her own heart. The light grew brighter and brighter, until it was all she could see. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the light winked out, leaving only the comforting tick of the well's clockwork. The next day at school, Angelika felt a shift. Her classmates looked at her with interest, their eyes meeting hers in a way they never had before. They asked about her weekend, her adventure in the library, and her quiet voice grew stronger with each shared story. She saw the world around her in a new light, realizing that the connections she had made along the way had changed her. Her wish had not only been granted but had also transformed her perspective, allowing her to see the beauty in the everyday. That evening, as she returned home, her parents surprised her with a birthday party, a small gathering of neighbors and friends who had come to celebrate her. The room was filled with laughter and warmth, and for the first time in a long while, Angelika felt truly seen. As the candles on her cake flickered, she knew that the heart of time had not only restored the city's clocks but had also mended something within her own heart. With a smile, she blew out the candles, making a silent wish for the magic of connection to continue to weave its way through her life. Days turned into weeks, and the city seemed to shine a little brighter. Angelika continued to make new friends, explore her interests, and embraced the world around her. She found herself drawn to the library, where she would spend hours lost in the pages of books, discovering new worlds and new perspectives. The clocks in the library tower now sang in perfect harmony, their chorus echoing through the stacks and filling the air with a sense of belonging. One afternoon, as she sat at a table, surrounded by her favorite books, she noticed a boy watching her from across the room. He smiled shyly and approached, offering her a copy of a book he thought she might like. As they talked, she felt a spark between them, a connection that went beyond words. They became friends, and then more than friends, and Angelika knew that her wish had been granted in the most unexpected of ways. Throughout it all, she never forgot the heart of time, the gear that had led her back to herself. It was a reminder that even in the most unlikely of places, there was magic to be found, and that connection was the key to unlocking the fullness of life. And so, as the years passed and the world around her changed, she carried the heart of time with her, always, a constant reminder of the power of love and the beauty of being truly seen. As Angelika grew, her friendship with Mr. Tobias grew stronger. She would often visit him in his shop, sharing her tales of the city and the people she had met. His eyes would twinkle as he listened, and she knew that he was proud of the young woman she was becoming. The shop remained a sanctuary for her, a place where she could breathe in the scent of dust and metal and feel the gentle embrace of time's steady rhythm. But life had a way of moving forward, and soon enough, it was time for Angelika to leave the comfort of the city she had come to know so well. She was offered a scholarship to a prestigious school across the country, a chance to pursue her love of literature and writing. As she packed her bags, she knew that she would miss the cobblestone streets and the whispers of the clocks, but she also felt a newfound excitement for the adventures that awaited her. On the day she left, Mr. Tobias presented her with a gift, a small, exquisite locket made of the same brass as the wishing well. Inside, nestled on a velvet cushion, was the heart of time. "To remind you," he said, his voice gruff with emotion, "that no matter where you go, you will always be connected to the heart of the city, and to those who love you." With a tearful goodbye, she hugged him tightly and promised to visit often. Years later, Angelika would return to the city as a successful author, her books filled with the magic and wonder of the world she had discovered in the dusty library aisles and the ticking heart of the city's clocks. The shop remained unchanged, a beacon of warmth in the ever-evolving urban sprawl. Mr. Tobias, though friendlier, greeted her with open arms, his eyes still as bright as the stars in the night sky. They shared stories and laughter, and she knew that no matter how much she had grown or how far she had traveled, she would always be the girl who had found her heart in the most unexpected of places. The city had changed, but the magic remained. The people she had once felt invisible to now recognized her, not just for her books but for the warmth she brought to their lives. As she wandered the streets, signing copies at bookstores and speaking at schools, Angelika felt the pulse of the city's heart in every step. The connections she had made during her quest had grown into a network of friends and supporters that spanned the globe. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.